Noah Tishby is just brilliant. She is such a good spokesperson for Israel and Israel's cause, because what she does is she explains things so simply and with a smile on her face. And I think that's one thing we really need to take into account. We have to be happy warriors when we're telling the truth about the history, the morality of the situation. But anyway, just after the whole Iran, Israel, America debacle, where they degraded Iran's nuclear sites, Noah went out to speak to some of the people protesting and were in support of Iran. Have a watch of her conversation with people in New York.
I don't believe Israel has the right to exist. Absolutely not.
Hands off Iran.
I'm Noah. Nice to meet you. Okay.
You're an evil human being.
I am? Why?
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Why?
Have some shame.
Apparently they love my work here. So we are in New York City, right after the United States eliminated Iran's nuclear capabilities. And I was curious, who are the people that are calling for hands off Iran? Nuclear watchdog said that Iran has been rushing for a nuclear bomb. Do you believe them?
Iran is trying to have peaceful nuclear energy. It is right under the treaty with the IAEA.
Iran has submitted themselves to thousands of intrusive inspections, more than most countries would actually accept.
We have been, for quite a long time, indicating that we were not getting from Iran the replies and responses and clarifications that we were needing.
And I see a regime in Iran that has looked at every opportunity to de-escalate the situation.
The Israeli government has nuclear weapons. That's not good.
The Israeli government is not saying that they want to kill another country.
The Iranian government isn't saying they're going to nuke Israel, though, either.
The Iranian regime says death to Israel. Do we believe them?
They don't have problem with America. They don't have problem with Israel.
Unconfirmed on that. Probably so.
This is just a free expression for some people.
Got it.
Not the government.
Oh, it's not the government?
No, it is not the government.
We got Predator drones, and they got, HUDs.
So they're miserable.
They don't have bombs. Yeah, no, they're absolutely miserable.
We had residential strikes by Israel on Tehran.
Something slightly different. They were going after nuclear scientists and the Revolutionary Guard.
There's no Iranian that wants their country to be bombed by a fake country like Israel and by American imperialism.
We, the Iranian people, stand with Israel. We know that the Islamic regime in Iran is the enemy of humanity.
What about the women of Iran that are asking to be free?
We'll let people in Iran determine their own destiny.
There was a Green Revolution and Masa Amini was assassinated. They've been trying to liberate themselves for a while.
I mean, I'm from the Middle East.
Where from?
I'm from Afghanistan. Being in America right now is such a privilege, and I think it's something we forget about.
So it's a privilege because you have all the rights, right? What is this flag?
It says Ya Hussein. So it's basically a representation of martyrdom.
And martyrdom, what does that mean if people don't know exactly?
So martyrdom is basically sacrificing your life for what you believe in.
And you're willing to do that?
Yeah, of course,
yeah?
Absolutely. I don't believe Israel has the right to exist. Absolutely not.
Got it.
That's
and we have the solution.
Absolutely. Resistance is the only way to decolonize Palestine. Yes.
I don't know which media you are with, so I'm going to leave now. Bye.
Okay, don't even talk.
Okay.
Awful person. Don't talk.
Yeah, we're not going to talk to you. Thank you.
So as an Afghan woman, you're here. Okay.
Have some shame.
I'm Israel Chai, sir! Young people in America are confused at best and brainwashed at worst. And it is our job to do the best that we can to have conversations, to educate with American values, with Western values, and with actual peace, liberty, and freedom for all.
You know what's so amazing is that you saw that gentleman there saying, I will do anything, even will lose his life for the sake of decolonizing Palestine, as he calls it. It is just, can you imagine just the level of cognitive dissonance one needs to have as someone that supports is Islamist martyrdom? And what is that all about? That is literally about colonizing the entire world. And that's been the story of the Islamic conquests. That's been, the story of Islam. That's its politically at least, that's one of its key objectives. The caliphate, all the rest of it. And their presence in the land of Israel comes from the Islamic colonization of the land from the 7th century. Many generations after Jews had settled down, were living there. And it's just ridiculous. Every single accusation they accuse Israel of, their other side are guilty of. Even recently, they say, ceasefire now in Gaza. But when Iran started striking missiles, or Yemen started striking missiles at Israel, they would celebrate and cheer. Sorry, what happened to ceasefire? The hypocrisy just runs rife. What Israel's doing is genocide. And yet what they want from the river to the sea is genocide. And before you say, well, Israel shouldn't have started it, there were calls for genocide among the Arab Islamic world well before Israel's re-establishment. Look up Hajj Amin al-Husseini, who was the British appointed leader of the Arabs in the land. They have zero interest in a nation state of the quote-unquote Palestinians. Their only interest is in wiping out the Jews and colonization. I genuinely encourage you, I implore you, just go through every single accusation they throw at Israel and just do a bit of research, even throw it into AI, ChatGPT, and say, how might these accusations actually be something that the anti-Israel side are guilty of, that the Arabs are guilty of? And you will find it very easily. One of the ones I laugh at the most is apartheid. Brilliant. Imagine if a Jew or an Israeli goes into Judea and Samaria, the Palestinian-controlled territories, or Gaza. Their lives are in danger. In fact, some have done that accidentally and got killed. It is the Palestinian side that wants their lands to be Judenrein. Meanwhile, there's millions of Israeli Arabs that live alongside Jews in Israel. Literally everything we're accused of. And it's not just now, it's throughout history. It's a projection of one's own moral failings, anti-Semitism. That is what it is at its core. The rabbis of the Talmud were clear about this. They said that the hatred of the anti-Semites throughout history comes from Sinai, Mount Sinai. Because they do a play on words. The Hebrew word for hatred is Sinah, which sounds like Sinai. They say Sinah comes from Sinai. For the rabbis, it was clear. It's a resistance. It's a rejection. It's a resentment of the message the Jewish people were given at Mount Sinai, of moral accountability, of God's law, perhaps also a resentment of that unique chosen mission the Jewish people were given. But either way, it's something they're going to need to reevaluate. But here's an interesting thought that you might not have considered before. Two interesting thoughts I'd like to leave you with. Thought number one, that chap over there, let's just get him up on the screen just to show you who I'm talking about, who basically said that he's prepared to give his life for martyrdom. Where is he? Let's see if I can find him again. It was near the end, wasn't it? Yeah, over here, this guy. I'd like you just to imagine if he was prepared to devote himself in his life, because he seems like a really dedicated man, to truth, to the actual truth, to goodness, to justice, to fighting for good causes. Not for a perversion of God's will, but God's actual will. I think people like this could be, if they use that same devotion, so much good could be done. I think it was Rabbi Noah Weinberg, the late Rabbi Noah Weinberg of blessed memory. He said, if one man can kill 6 million, then one man can save 6 million. And I remember going to Auschwitz and seeing just that it was so vast. It was huge. The effort they put in, I'm talking about Birkenau, into it, it's like football stadiums in size. The effort they went to commit evil. Just imagine if that same effort could be applied to do good. And I do believe, by the way, that one day the Arabs will be the Jewish people's greatest partners in that project, because of their zeal, because of their divine reverence. But the other thing I would say is, at the end, Noah said, we have to fight for Western values and all of that. This is also a part of the problem. We say Israel's just the bastion of the West. Well, part of how we're going to bridge this gap between the Islamic world and the Christian world is for Israel to be what it's actually meant to be, which is not a bastion of the West. Yes, much of the West is founded on the values the Jewish people brought to the world through the Bible, but we're not secular Westerners. We are actually the bridge between the Christian world and the Islamic world and so many other worlds of spirituality and non-spirituality. We're meant to be the light to the nations that shows God's way, which often is a middle path between the two. Sometimes we find the Islamic world leans more towards strict justice, and the Christian or Western world may lean a bit more towards mercy. Judaism always had kept these things in a very middle path and balance. The same with the separation of powers. We don't want the separation of church and state. Islam wants church and state to be one. The Western world says no, it should be entirely separate. Judaism says there should be restrictions on power and separation of power, but there should be a religious core, actually, that's informing the governance of the nation. I'm not saying the current modern state of Israel embodies all of that in its entirety, but in terms of Judaism and the Torah and the ideal form of governance that the Jewish people brought to the world. But those are some things to think about. What is Israel's actual message going to be? Because if we keep just framing this as, Islam versus West, one will have to win and one will have to lose. But what if there's something that can totally transcend that? A fusion of everything, really, a divine balanced path forward that I believe the Torah provided. That, in my view, is the solution. And that's where Israel can come into a totally different role that they never even imagined they could have. Before we wrap up, I want to share something important with you. The entire anti-Israel movement is built on one central accusation, that in 1948, Israel stole the land, and ever since, Palestinians have simply been resisting. But what if everything we've been told about this story is untrue? What if the real history of 1948 shows not Arabs being forced out, but Jews, while seeking peace, having to fight for their survival against a genocidal enemy that willed its destruction long before Israel's re-establishment? Have a watch of the trailer for our new, groundbreaking and essential documentary entitled What Really Happened in 1948. And if you want to see the full film, just click the link in the video description. In 1948, the world witnessed the rebirth of the Jewish state, the State of Israel. A moment celebrated as a miracle of survival and self-determination after centuries of persecution and the horrors of the Holocaust. Yet for decades, this event has been twisted into a narrative of theft and catastrophe, with the so-called Nakba portrayed as Israel's original sin, where Jews allegedly stole Arab land and displaced innocents in a premeditated act of ethnic cleansing. But what if this story is fundamentally inverted? What if the cause and effect are the other way around? Not Israel aggressively seizing territory and Arabs responding in self-defense, but Arabs, driven by deep-seated hatred, rejecting the Jews' legal and historical rights to live in their ancestral homeland and waging a genocidal war long before Israel's re-establishment. In this JTV Plus documentary, we're going to uncover the unvarnished truth about 1948, the centuries of pogroms and anti-Semitic violence that set the stage, the Arab leaders' explicit calls for extermination, and the defensive war Israel fought to secure its existence. We'll challenge the pervasive lies head-on, showing how Arab rejection of peace wasn't about creating a Palestinian state, but about denying Jews the right to live at all. From the Nazi-allied leader of the Arabs in Palestine, the Mufti al-Husseini, to the forgotten occupations by Jordan and Egypt, when no Palestinian state was even considered, this is the story of a conflict rooted not in displacement, but in whether the Jews deserve to live in their homeland. Join us as we debunk the myths with facts, confront the historical record fairly but firmly, and reveal why 1948 was not an act of aggression, but a righteous response to annihilation. This is what really happened in 1948. To watch this JTV Plus documentary and access much more premium content, click on the link in the video description.